Hey everyone, this week I have been playing Alchemist. Stay tuned. Alright, so this happened actually quite by accident, which I'll talk about this as well because I did have that other video where I talked a little bit about layering, and this is kind of, I think, adjacent to that, though slightly different. I happened to just have a sample that was sent to me with something else that I bought. It was a sample called Bianco Latte, which is a clone, I believe, of Blanco Latte, which is a fragrance I was unfamiliar with. It smells nice. It's like honey, amber, musk. It's very sweet, very creamy, very caramely. It comes across to me like a candle, but a very nice one. I think on a woman it would smell very nice. I think on its own, don't know. It's a little odd. And I happened to spray a bit on me, and then I caught a whiff of something that I'd sprayed earlier near it, and I was like, wow, that smells really, really good. And those fragrances don't seem like they would go together. So I have a whole bunch of like little sample vials. And so I was like, why don't I play Alchemist a little bit? I took the sample that I had and I mixed it with 78 Vintage Green from Banana Republic, because that was the other thing that I had. And it was just this like, I'll spray a little sample of it here and talk about it, because this is a case where I felt like it kind of became something different than the two had started. And that's when I got kind of curious about mixing other things, and it kind of just opened up my imagination because I hadn't really thought about doing this kind of thing before. But this takes that vintage 78 green DNA, which to me, I've described before. It's kind of like this, like sticking your face into a bowl of cold tea leaves that are in water, a little bit sweet but not overly. Really, really beautiful. So when you mix it with the Bianco Latte, the Blanco Latte, it doesn't seem like it should meld for me, but it does. It turns into this kind of like creamy, sweet green, but then this is also leaning a lot more feminine now, I would say. But it's one of those smells that if you smelled it on one, you'd be like, wow, 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 what is that? What is that? It doesn't really smell exactly like either of its constituent parts. It smells like something new, and that got me kind of curious and excited, because I thought this was a fun thing that I would wear this. I think it's really, really, really interesting. And so, I'm gonna take you down the rabbit hole here of a couple others that I've mixed together. I don't think any of them are as good as this one. I just happen to get really lucky here. But man, if you've got Bianco Latte or something that's kind of like that, it's like a creamy honey caramel coffee amber musk fragrance. So this it's like a latte essentially. Mix that with a little bit of vintage green if you've got it, man. It's really, really special. Like it's actually it smells like a beautiful different fragrance. You can kind of see a trend here. I'll show you these the way in which I kind of made them, and you can kind of see a trend or a direction. And as I was kind of like thinking about this and imagining, combining scents, what I was thinking. Next up, I kind of just looked at what was next to me, and I was thinking, okay, well, I like these scents, but I wonder if there's something I could do to punch it up. And so what I took was Bentley for Men Intense, and I was like, okay, if I was going to take Bentley for Men, add something to it, what could I add to it? Well, it's already got a pretty good spice profile. What if I just really amped up the sweetness? So I mixed with it Stronger With You Absolutely. And I am calling the merger of the two Stronger With You Absa Bentley. So with Stronger With You Absa Bentley, as you can guess, it's this is about I would say 60-40 split. It's 60% 60% Bentley, and then 40% Stronger With You Absolutely. I figured I want to add that profile pretty dominantly, and the end result is pretty neat. These don't blend quite as well together, but however, what it does do is it brings in this extra sweetness. Bentley for Men Intense, that rum-soaked cigar box, it already has quite a bit of sweetness, but not compared to Stronger With You, absolutely, right? And Stronger With You absolutely shares that boozy note as well. So when you add in the kind of sweet chestnut, I believe that's what's in Stronger With You, absolutely. That DNA from Stronger With You, that sweet chestnut. You know, it's just adding another dimension to Bentley Ferment Intense, which is already pretty rich, but it's pleasant. I like it. You know, the Stronger With You line, which also the Stronger With You Absolutely, which also smells pretty close to the Most Wanted. I think that DNA is really good. It lasts a really long time, but I always kind of get to the dry down on those two, and I'm like, man, I kind of am not wild about this dry down. Like, it gets a little bit bitter on my skin, and not as pleasant as the first couple hours in it. So I actually kind of like Bentley for Men, because I think it adds that little spiced wood, like the cedar, especially in the dry down. So it's kind of taking a little bit of the best of both worlds in this situation, and they do complement each other quite well. And I do kind of feel like they fill in where the other it's not where it's lacking, but where the other one isn't playing in that space as much, right? Because I don't think Bentley for Men is trying to be overly sweet. And I don't think that Stronger With You Absolutely is trying to be a woodsy powerhouse, right? But when you bring them together, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. So, all right, Stronger With You Absolutely Bentley. All right, so next up was a little bit of a return to fragrance I talked about in last week's video, because I kept wearing Starwalker Extreme after the video, because it was one of those ones where, yeah, like I talked about, I kind of wanted to just keep going back and smelling it. Didn't really want to wear it, so I forced myself to wear it a few times. And then I started thinking, okay, well, in the context of this experiment, what would make me want to wear Starwalker Extreme more? What do I feel like maybe in this case is putting me off of it? And with Starwalker Extreme, it's missing some sort of an edge. I don't need all my fragrances to have a sharpness to them or some sort of a spice, but there's something about the softness of Starwalker Extreme that I think stops me from wanting to wear it. I think the sharpness will occasionally engage me. So I was like, okay, well, what could I mix with it? I tried a couple different things, but ultimately I think what works the best is also maybe something that you have that you aren't a fan of, because that's a lot of people, not me, but it's Azzaro's Wanted Tonic. So I mixed these two, Wanted Tonic and Starwalker Extreme, and I call that Starwalker Tonic. Nothing too interesting with this one, I'm afraid, in the name, but in the fragrance, did exactly what I wanted. So with Starwalker Extreme, you got a lot of fruits up top. It's very sweet, very soft, a little bit powdery. And then with Wanted Tonic, it's lime, it's ginger, I believe it's ambroxan, something like that. It does exactly kind of what I was talking about, adding that ginger, that kind of zing. It really makes Starwalker, for me, a lot more appealing. Like it's kind of grabbing me now. I feel like that ginger is maybe a little bit of the hook that keeps me engaged with it. You know, it's kind of like how you can have really, really good food, but maybe it needs salsa or it needs hot sauce, right? Doesn't mean it's bad food, but when you add that little extra zing, it keeps your taste buds engaged and you like it more. And in this case, I think the Wanted Tonic is kind of doing that in a really interesting way. This is maybe one of the more interesting combos, I think, because I feel like it really is kind of addressing the last week's video where I was talking about fragrances that I like, but I just don't wear. I would wear this a lot more than regular Starwalker, and I'm going to actually wear this because it's really good. It's really good. I was a little inspired by, I think I've told this story before, but I was at Nordstrom's and they were doing a class about layering, and the example that they were using was Ebon Fume from Tom Ford, and they were going over a bunch of different Tom Ford fragrances, and so I thought about that and I was like, okay, yeah, how about I take something that's kind of doesn't smell like Ebon Fume. Before I get a lot of flack, does not smell like Ebon Fume, but kind of has, it's doing a similar thing. Again, very different, but The one I'm thinking of is 1 Million Golden Oud. Now this is a fragrance I really like quite a bit. I don't think it needs to be improved, changed, or anything like that. So this was an instance where I was like, okay, well, what's something I could do to make it a little bit more fun? And I took another recent one that I picked up, which is from Paris Corner, and that's Northern Stag Quatre 4. Yeah, they actually put a number 4 and then Quatre on it. So, and I'm calling it Golden Swim because it's a clone of Afternoon Swim. So the thought process for this one was, okay, Golden Oud is heavy. What if we just add a huge blast of citrus up top to it? What does that do? Getting the quantities right with this was difficult because Golden Oud is so strong. So this is actually probably 60-40 with the Quatre, and then the rest with Golden Oud. And one thing to note here is these kind of play together a little bit, but they still do play a separate game. And so what you get when you spray this, you're getting both right up top. Very, very much so, you're getting both. And I think that works out really well. Afternoon Swim, that DNA, it's like orange juice to me. It's very much like orange rind. There is the ambroxan, musk, stuff like that, but it's really the story about those citruses. So when you throw that in with the Golden Oud, which is this kind of like leathery, smoky, I wouldn't really say oudy, but it's got kind of that like woody sort of thing. And then it's got the sweetness of the DNA of the 1 Million line. Adding the orange on top of that, that's kind of an interesting, it adds an interesting facet to this. It is short-lived. I would say that, you know, Golden Oud is such a domineering fragrance that the Afternoon Swim clone only lasts for the first maybe hour or so when I spread it onto my skin. But it's really nice. The sweetness, the orange, it works well with Golden Oud, the DNA. So if you happen to be one of the people that picked up Golden Oud and you've probably got a clone of Afternoon Swim, I think what you need to do is, if you want to try it, this is difficult to do with just spraying layering, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not wild about layering. Different fragrances are so different in terms of how much they project and their strength and things like that. I feel like if you want to mix them, you actually have to mix them, which is what I was doing here. And there were some that I tried, like this one, where I had to do a few different things, add more, just because the ratio, getting the ratio right to make this work took a lot. There is a whole lot of Afternoon Swim versus Golden Oud in this, just because Golden Oud is so strong. But I could see this being like some sort of a Golden Oud summertime flanker. It does, it makes Golden Oud, I feel like, a little bit more wearable for me in the spring and the summertime. Golden Oud is such a strong fragrance. I feel like it screams for fall and winter. But when you add this to it, this brightens it up and I think lifts it and makes it much more wearable in the spring and the summertime. I probably still wouldn't do it in the hottest of heats, but yeah, in a cool summer morning or evening, something like that, I think this would be really nice. So you also kind of diluting the Golden Oud down a little bit since you're mixing with the other one, so it's not going to be as strong as if you were just wearing Golden Oud, which is worth noting. I think that may be why it would work a little bit better in the spring or sometime, in addition to the DNA of Afternoon Swim. But all right, the last one is just kind of a venture. So I've got one fragrance that I've talked about a few times, which is Bright Peach from Maison Alhambra. It's a clone of Bitter Peach from Tom Ford. I think it does that very well. The problem for me is that I don't think that DNA is especially great. I really like peaches a lot, but this to me just kind of smells like peach rings or peach prime times, if you ever had those. So I started to play around with it, started thinking, okay, what would it go well with? This is one of the things that Bitter Peach is one of the things they talked about mixing with Ebon Fume. I didn't really like it with Golden Oud, and that's when I tried the other one. So this one I tried with a few different things. One of the things I found is that it is insanely potent. So if you are going to use Bright Peach, you have to do it like a 1-to-10 ratio because it's so strong that it will overrun whatever you put with it in a lot of cases. But the thing I think worked out best was mixing it with the One from Dolce Gabbana. So this one I called the peach one, and it is a very, very much mostly the one. I think I got the ratio just right, because the way this comes across is very much the one with a tiny little kind of edge of this like peach sweetness, which you can pick up on. It's not overbearing. So in this case, I think it actually works really well with the One DNA, because the One DNA is this very, for me, appealing, sweet, spicy date night fragrance. I'll throw the notes up here, and that gives a good idea. I think, for me, I think it may be one of the best date night fragrances. So I don't really think it needs any modifications. I like it. I like how long it lasts, especially for a date night. This is something cool though. I would not say that I like it more than the one, but I would say that peach really goes well with the One's DNA to such an extent that I'm like, man, I'm really curious if a professional were to do some sort of a version of the one that included a peach DNA, like a peach and a smoky woodsy sort of a thing. That's really good. It's really, really good. I think bitter peach, or the bright peach, sorry. I think bright peach in this instance is really, really being lifted and carried by the fact that the one has such an appealing DNA. I don't know, that's really fun. I like this one a lot. So these are kind of some fun things. I got onto this because I was also thinking about layering, and it's one of those situations where, like, yeah, I like the concept of layering. I just side-eye any company that's promoting it because I feel like I don't trust you. I think you have your own motivations for why you want me to do layering. Of course you want me to do layering and buy multiple bottles. So it's not to say that they don't have good intentions, but I just kind of don't, it's impossible to trust them, right? So that being said, I still kind of had fun doing this. And this was also kind of spawned from a thing that I think I'm gonna do soon at some point. I'm gonna try and collect some like crafting materials and start mixing some stuff myself. Not because I want to become a perfumer or anything like that. I mean, it would be kind of fun maybe, I don't know. But for me mostly, this is about learning and satisfying my curiosity. And there's a little better way to satisfy it than to actually dig in with my own hands, start mixing stuff to better understand the industry and the materials that go in. So I'm probably going to start doing that, which means that I'll probably start making videos about that and that process. I hope you find that interesting. I don't know, we'll see. I'll try and make it interesting. I'm still going to buy fragrances, still going to keep smelling new stuff and keep building the collection of things that I love. So that's not going to end, but I will be doing that. We're also going to do some sort of a 1,000 subscriber special coming up, but I'll have more details about that in the future. In the meantime, happy 4th of July. If you're outside of America, happy 4th of July. And I'll talk to you next week.